I usually don't pick a favorite matchup of the day, but you know, if I did today, I think it's this one. This is about as exciting as it does get because we're starting to get so close to figuring out who the number 4 team in North America is going to be as we round out this first season of the year. We have 2 teams that are in the running going head-to-head, and we have a great desk to cover all of it. We got Zico, Super Tees, and Venruki here, and we started to talk about what the head-to-head matchup actually looked like, Zico, coming out of the break. We had everybody in chat actually vote using the hashtags, but I do want to go through and hear your opinion. Who do you think takes this? Is it going to be Never Lucky, or is it going to be the move?
Never Lucky, I think, has the compositional advantage, so...
They don't have the home field advantage, 93.
They definitely
Wow.
don't have that. Wow. All right, chat. I'm sorry.
Chad thinks the move's going to be able to take it even without having that compositional advantage, and that is something that they've been able to do in the past. Never Lucky already took down the move, though. That's the reason that the move was waiting in the lower side of the bracket. When they went head-to-head in this tournament, it was a 3-1 in favor of Never Lucky. Are they going to be able to repeat history, or is all of that vamos, all of that energy that you're given to the move going to be enough to allow them to pull through?
Yeah, we'll definitely have to see what happened. Colo already going to be using his Gladiator's Medallion on the initial blind of Peekaboo. Doesn't want to be falling behind in terms of cooldown exchange. WizKid getting a huge heal there by Upsurge, negating a lot of this initial pressure. Kitty shot used by Peekaboo onto Colo, looking for some pressure. This is something we see from the move often. You'll have Peekaboo sit on the healer, generate some pressure. In the meantime, WizK gets some damage over time effects rolling onto the DPS, but it seems like once again, Colo's going to be the main focus point for the move.
Nice fade on the Gladiator's Maledict. WizK avoiding that big trinket usage. We do see Peekaboo still pressuring Colo as Upsurge initiates the Gladiator's Maledict onto Colo. Life Cocoon exchanges for that. Peekaboo realizing that defense is not going to be cracked, switches targets, and it appears that the strategy of the move is to hex Valido as frequently as possible, reduce his pressure, attack Zac and Colo, and have Peekaboo bounce between those 2 targets. That seems to be the priority strategy for the move. Curious to see how it plays out. Colo does not want to get caught off guard. A bit of a mistake here by Upsurge. Hexing Valido, but on diminishing return. Upsurge likely playing a reduced cooldown on Hex, so he'll have to time his diminishing returns better. He cannot afford to have that much uptime on Valido.
Yep, definitely WizK under fire. Double leg sweep coming in from Never Lucky. If we look at mana right now, Colo does have a decent lead over Upsurge, but like we kind of talked about, with the changes to Purge, as well as Dispel Magic from Shadow Priest, there's a lot of offensive Dispel capability that the move has available. Kitty shot now on Colo, but WizK getting low. Good pressure here from Zac and Valido. Peekaboo trying to find some winners of opportunity for his team, but Colo's responding quite well in this situation.
Valido uses the anti-magic shield, realizing that he's not a damage target, so instead of using that to absorb hits, he uses it to immune the Hex and get more uptime on WizK. It's all about Valido denying Hex and getting as much pressure on WizK whilst doing so. Ultimately getting Hex. Actually, Gladiator's Medallion used here. Valido wants to end this. Zac under fire and Colo under fire as well, though, amidst all of this chaos. Colo gets crushed. Is it going to be enough? He's trying not to make an overextended trade, relying heavily on that anti-magic zone. Now Transcendence to safety, managing to recover. Mana still even at this point. Touch of Karma used by Zac. Openings are starting to develop themselves for both teams.
Definitely good pressure here. Touch of Karma used by Zac. Like we mentioned, that makes him a vulnerable target as we move forward in this matchup. Now 2 pressure points available for the move. Colo caught in a kidney shot. He can't be using his Gladiator's Medallion because he's going to get caught in the situation where right now he gets blinded. Now he has to trinket, and that's a fair trade. That's exactly what he wanted. If he had trinketed the earlier kidney shot, then all of a sudden he gets caught into the blind, into the sap, and Zac could easily fall in that situation. So Colo is playing this very patiently, intelligently. Upsurge sitting in the back line.
Big push
for a Hex. Here it is. Big damage rolling for the move.
Big push from the move. Colo, is he going to get cracked? The Ring of Peace appears to be enough for Colo to stall out the attack, and now WizK under fire as he was desperately trying to push forward and add some extra damage to the fight. It just wasn't enough. Now they stack up for a double leg sweep. Valido moves over to potentially interrupt Upsurge, stunning one heal. Colo moves in to follow up. WizK in trouble. Could be the Void Shift potentially from him. Upsurge still locked down in crowd control. WizK trying to reconvene for a potential Spirit Link Totem, but as he moves closer for that cooldown, he also brings the interrupts to Upsurge as well. The Psychic Scream into a Hex should stall the damage long enough here for Upsurge to recover. Silence on Colo. They switch their attention to Zac, realizing he's vulnerable for another 10 seconds. Trying to crack through an opening there. Good crowd control initiation by Peekaboo. 5 seconds away. Zach holds on around the pillar, connects a Vivify. Colo now out of crowd control, easily healing him. Mana starting to develop in favor of Never Lucky. The move needs to do something quickly before that ends up being the case. Absterge may need to try and look for a drink. I love this crowd control they've been initiating on Valido. The Earth Grab roots, the Hexes. Although the Hexes maybe could be a bit better, the Diminishing Return has frequently been mistimed by Absterge. Psychic Scream, they've got good control of Valido, but it still appears to be so difficult for the move to develop any pressure.
Yeah, but Peekaboo slowly but surely chopping into Colo, creating some pressure for his team. Zach once again, no Gladiator's Medallion. There is a slight opening here. Whiskey getting into Void form, putting out massive pressure, but Valido and Zach, their self-heals, easily able to deny that damage so far. Whiskey getting interrupted. Nice ring of peace to bounce him out of the earthen wall totem of Absterge, I believe. So he's not going to be getting to use too much of that defense, but he did manage to step back in it, getting a little bit of damage reduction. Now Peekaboo getting kited away by Colo, forced to come back into a double leg sweep. Nicely done by Zach. Good pressure still rolling here for Never Lucky.
It's so difficult for WizK to develop pressure on Zach, as it is like a Colo is running the counteract magic. And I'm wondering if WizK is looking for the dispels, trying to remove that as frequently as possible. Stun on Colo, but no counter pressure on Zach. It's WizK who's just getting hammered right now. Gladiator's Maledict connects, Colo dispels. See if there's any follow-up. There's good pressure on Colo. WizK decides to move in, secures a silence, Way of the Crane. Should be enough to deny the kill here. Colo's still struggling, gets blinded on the Way of the Crane. Trinkets, big overlap, another opening for the move moving forward if they can stay alive long enough to see it through.
Yeah, Quaking Palm on Colo's Trinket. Good use of the Pandaren Racial from WizK, now caught into a full stun with the paralysis on Absterge. No dispersion. He does have the Void Shift. He might have to trade it out early. No Absterge. He's going to be using the Spirit Link Totem instead, but Colo in a vulnerable situation. He's caught into a kidney shot. He doesn't have a Gladiator's Medallion. Not much mana left. He might get one, potentially two Way of the Cranes left if he can hold on to that precious mana for a longer period of time. But in the meantime, the move is kind of falling apart. Absterge mana not looking good. All three members rotting down low. What are they going to do? I mean, I think if Colo plays well defensively, there's not too many openings here for the move.
And they've got so much to work through. They have to get Zach's Gladiator's Medallion, maybe a Smoke Bomb kill there if they can manage to pull it. Still the Touch of Karma. Zach's really just not a target. He's been able to heal himself very effectively throughout WizK's attacks. Even though they've been crowd controlling Valido for most of the fight, his damage is still just so high. It doesn't even appear to be doing too much. Anti-Magic Shield immunes that Hex. That could be a power play for Valido, starting to develop huge momentum onto WizK. Earthen Wall Totem needs to be enough. They do use the Void Shift regardless. Big overlap there, but they got Ring of Peace out of the defense, so maybe a necessary overlap. Colo's got more than enough to stay alive. There's only one opening, only one opportunity for Peekaboo in 19 seconds with this Vendetta, but even in the past, this opening presented itself and they effectively didn't even scratch Colo, so no mana for Absterge to purge. I'm not sure if it will be enough, and despite the move's strategic options here, I'm not sure if they've got enough to close it out. If they can pull a Life Cocoon here without Vendetta, it could be critical. If they have enough to do it, he fake casts the Wind Shear. Colo portals out of line of sight. He needs to hold on the Life Cocoon for Vendetta. He's actually struggling a bit here. Colo's starting to flounder a bit. Peekaboo reconnects. Still Vendetta available. WizK gets gripped and double stun. Big Fist of Fury, dispersion exchanged. Absterge with 0 mana left. Pre-Life Cocoon on the kidney shot. Nice read on Colo's part, absorbing a huge hit from Peekaboo. Peekaboo switches targets to Zach. This could easily end up being a cross kill. Both teams now completely out of mana, but I would say that Never Lucky are slightly ahead.
Yeah, and we are at 18% dampening. There was so much on the line for both of these teams. Winning game number one is huge in a series like this, and both of these teams are on the bubble. They cannot afford to drop a single match in this tournament moving forward if they want to have any chance of making it to the spring finals. Full blind on Valido, trying to buy WizK just a little bit of time as Colo's almost completely out of mana. Peekaboo slowly but surely working through the mana bar, working through the health bar of Colo in this matchup. WizK moving forward, looking to get aggressive, but WizK, he could be in a lot of trouble. He doesn't have the dispersion for another 40 seconds. Colo's the one that could ultimately fall.
It's do or die at this point for the move. They're running out of time, they're running out of options. They got Colo totally tapped on mana, but they are out of mana themselves. Absterge trinkets, but WizK with not much left in the tank. Vampiric Embrace, but he doesn't have Void Form available, is going to get destroyed in game number one. Never Lucky establish a lead and maintain it throughout, and qualifications potentially on the line here between these two teams.
I mean, if you're the move, you didn't want to have to go head-to-head with Never Lucky, a team that was the one that already got a victory over you in those offline matches, in those off-broadcast matches a little bit earlier on in the week. And the question is, with these two compositions, how does the matchup actually play out? Because this is something we can expect to see throughout the series.
Well, the Windwalker DK, they're pretty much going to do what we saw here, where they're going to be going after WizK the entirety of the game, and they're going to just be trying to put out as much pressure as possible with the occasional, kicks over onto Absturge, and then of course they're going to have their pet onto Absturge as well to make sure that he doesn't drink. Now, the interesting thing is what Peekaboo and WizK are going to be doing, because their strategy is a little bit more diverse. We're going to see them go for a lot of kidney shot kill attempts here with the kidney shot into silence onto Colo, but we're also going to be seeing a lot of swap attempts over onto Zac, and I really think that that was the main thing that we usually see them do a little bit better. We usually see them have more pressure on the DPS compared to the healer, and that's why they are so good at the RPS. They usually manage to land those kills by having the healer guess all the time. Is he going to go for me? Is he going to go for my DPS? Who is the kill target? And in this game, it felt like they put a little bit too much pressure over onto Colo. Normally, we would see them do a couple of more attempts onto Zac. We didn't really see like an effective use of the smoke bomb, for instance, even though there were a couple of openings onto Zac where he didn't have a trinket, where they could have pulled the trigger. Maybe they were a little bit too reluctant to doing that because they were overthinking it. Oh, maybe a Ring of Peace comes, maybe an anti-magic zone comes. Sometimes it's good to just force out those cooldowns, do a trade, and keep Zac guessing as well. So I want to see a little bit more swaps over onto Zac.
Subatis, what do you want to see? You hear that Zico wants more swaps. What adaptations do you think need to come out in game number 2?
The strategy looked solid. I mean, there were some slight misplays with hex timings, but other than that, they kept decent control of Valido. WizK was maximizing his damage on both Zac and Colo was to the best of his ability, and it just didn't work. They were just behind the whole time, and unless the team of Never Lucky made a significant mistake, they couldn't capitalize on anything. So I'm trying to run through the options of based on the compositions we've seen from them in the past, and the only one I'm seeing that maybe it's a bit of a toss-up is WizK's Death Knight instead of the Shadow Priest. Run the Death Knight Rogue, try and play a really aggressive cleave mirror and overwhelm them with that, because in their offline matches they tried bringing in Jellybeans and the Hunter and they lost that game within seconds. So I don't think the Hunter composition is going to work for them. Hunter's not strong in the meta right now, basically all around, so Jellybeans isn't too much help for his team at the moment. But going head-to-head with the cleave, we already saw Colo lose to the boys in the upper bracket, although Windwalker Death Knight may be a bit more intense than the Rogue Death Knight. You're going to get more uptime for sure than the Assassination Rogue will get, but it might just be their best option.
Yeah, I think it's important to bring up the fact that Jellybeans is almost not a factor in this one, unless they're going to go for something that got essentially deleted, and we've seen Hunters struggle with that quite a bit throughout tournaments, throughout matchups that are quite similar to this. What do we think, though, about that DK Rogue idea that Subtees just threw out? Do you think that there's any potential that we see something like that?
They might be able to try it, but the problem with the Rogue over, let's say, a Windwalker Monk is Windwalker Monk is going to be able to make much more favorable trades with Turbo Fist, with Fist of Fury. That is just such a powerful ability into the Rogue. The Rogue is much more of a vulnerable target, doesn't have nearly as much self-healing. The defensive cooldowns take much longer to rotate through, and I think overall the Rogue is just not as good of a choice in a mirror match as the Windwalker Monk would be. So I think that would be a losing matchup for the move, especially if they decided to bring Absurge on a Mistweaver. Like, I don't think Absurge playing the Resto Shaman or the Resto Druid is going to work at all. So he'd have to bring in the Mistweaver Monk, and then that's another thing that we don't know if he has practiced at all. I haven't really seen it, so I wouldn't be convinced with that maneuver.
That's literally what I was going to say as well. The healer discrepancy would be the biggest factor as well in that matchup. Like Absturge on a Mistweaver, something like you said we haven't seen. So I don't think we're going to see that. I think we're going to see another RPS game, and I think, honestly, we can't really criticize the move for how they play the RPS. They're the best at it, but they just have to play it the way the move does. They just have to play the RPS at 200% capacity and try to win that way, or bring in Jellybeans on that Demon Hunter potentially. We saw him play the Demon Hunter and then maybe have Absturge, and maybe have WizK on the DK. But we are going to see the RPS. I think this is what I want. I want to see from them. I don't want to see them on some third alts that they barely have practiced. This is what they're good at. That match, they're unfavored, but it looked, if they play it, you know, the way they usually play, I think that there's a chance for them in that matchup. So.
Yeah, I think that this is a case of we need to see them stick to their comfort throughout the remainder of this series. But how hard is it going to be to steal a win? I mean, Supatis brings up one of the most important things. We already saw them in a position on those off-broadcast matches where they were like, okay, we need to change something. They bring in the Hunter. It doesn't work. Are there any other things that we should really illuminate as we do move forward here? Never Lucky already drawing first blood.
They won one game against Never Lucky and offline. It was on this map. And the main reason for that is that if Colo overextends to dispel Valido out of crowd control, whether it be a Psychic Scream or an Earth Grab Totem route, he then puts himself in the middle of the map and WizK can attack him. So that's the main purpose of this large map, is to have WizK bait Colo to dispel his members out of crowd control so that he can attack Colo in midfield. But as long as Colo just doesn't move away from the pillar and just, oh sure, you sit 6 seconds of a fear, but it doesn't matter as long as you don't expose yourself. I think Colo is one of the only people on this team that will go down, at least before dampening. Zach potentially if he makes a big throw, but Colo definitely the most vulnerable, so everything rides on him to stay alive.
Well, the move, they managed to heat up late in the season. All of a sudden, they start making broadcasts time and time again. They start pulling down victories, and now they have a real chance to make it to land, but they need to win this. Never Lucky does not want to let up because they're in the same position. Which team is going to get to keep fighting and which team's going to be sent home?
Definitely have to find out. Zach in a kidney shot early on. It looks like the move potentially might be going after the Windwalker Monk a lot more, and I can see it. If they can dispel the Renewing Mist of Colo consistently in this matchup, he's not going to get a lot of value out of that counteract magic and have to use quite a bit of mana to keep him alive. But WizK already taking heavy fire. Great pressure here from Valido and Zach. Absurge getting bopped between 2 Rings of Peace right now. Not able to really back up WizK, and this could easily be the first dispersion.
Qualifications potentially on the line here for both teams as they desperately want to stay in the tournament to accumulate enough points, but Mew Mew Kitty Cat sit in the upper bracket with its very easy run up there to try and establish it. The move and Never Lucky have to eliminate each other as competition for that 4th spot, then face the Super Frogs, and then have to face whether it be Mew Mew Kitty Cats or the boys. It's going to be a long day for either of these teams if they want to make it all the way to qualify to the spring finals, but they are battling it out to the bitter end here today to try and do so. Never Lucky continue establishing their lead similarly to game number 1 with regards to mana and cooldowns, and on this large map they need to try and expose Colo in center field for swaps, as that is going to be the main target, or then to switch to Zach, try and catch him off guard in a smoke bomb. Double Psychic Scream, so they're trying to bait Colo to move in line of sight to dispel. Colo isn't falling for that bait. He's going to stay out of line of sight, away from WizK, avoid being attacked. Absurge repositions. WizK moves in. Colo gets silenced. Could use the Way of the Crane during this. Doesn't appear to be necessary as he recovers quite easily with crowd control on Peekaboo. If we just look at the situation, it's starting to spiral out of control for the move.
Yeah, definitely WizK falling further and further behind. Colo just playing solid defense, and I really feel like he's the only opening for the move. If Colo doesn't make mistakes in this matchup, I just don't see Never Lucky really losing. Great damage here on the WizK. Void Shift gets traded out onto Absurge, so a different kind of trade being made by the move in this matchup. Absurge not really in a great position to drop a Spirit Link Totem, so opting to trade out that major 5-minute cooldown from the Shadow Priest to swap health with his teammates. Now that's not available. Double leg sweep coming in. Great pressure once again from Never Lucky. What is Absurge going to do? WizK barely holding on. Has 5 seconds left on that dispersion. Lands a nice double fear. The move managed to stabilize.
I mean, stabilize. Look at the mana bar of Absurge. It's basically gone at this point, and despite bringing in what I think is their best strategy, crowd control the Death Knight, bounce between Colo and Zach, try to create pressure, they just can't. There's too much healing on the side of Never Lucky. They aren't able to penetrate through and really find too much. Finally an opening, actually, getting double Gladiator's Medallion. Zach could go down in a smoke bomb. Let's see if Peekaboo takes advantage of that. He's going to have to be on point for his team. The crowd control Colo, that could be an option as well. If the moves shift their hexes onto Colo aggressively, it then allows Valido more uptime to deal damage, but they might need that extra crowd control to be able to finally pin down one of the players on Never Lucky. There's the kidney shot. Where's the smoke bomb? They're not even going for it at this point in time. Kolo's right next to him. Doesn't appear to be necessary. WizK cannot get there. This is also the drawback of the large map, is that WizK can easily get left behind and have no opportunity to get in line of sight. Potentially the move want to set up drinks. If Absterge can somehow manage to regenerate his mana later into dampening, then potentially Valido actually becomes a target. They could switch their hexes. They go for the smoke bomb play. Kolo tries to get into it. He's getting hexed on his way in. Full hex. Good crowd control rotation from the move. Zac on the run. Peekaboo just gives up on chasing Zac. Tries to go after Kolo. Kolo then transcendences away. Should be able to easily escape. Zac moves in. Good reactions by Zac to survive the smoke bomb attack. Mana at least evening out now for the move, but still a lead for Never Lucky.
Yep, definitely Never Lucky in the driver's seat right now. Zac has a lot of his defensive cooldowns rotating back up. Kolo with the life cocoon, he's going to be feeling healthy. WizK still no Void Shift. Does have Dispersion rotating back up. There's another grip into a double leg sweep. Good combination there by Valido and Zac to start really getting some pressure rolling for their team. And Absterge and WizK are under heavy fire right now. Absterge has to respond with his Ascendants to empower his heals, trying to keep WizK alive. Peekaboo's still on a solo mission, trying to pressure down Kolo, but Kolo's just not been cracking under the pressure.
Zac pre-touch of Karma'd the incoming kidney shots. That could have been an opening there for the move. Although now they have an opportunity with Vendetta, but running out of time. Not very much mana left in the tank, and dampening has just engaged. Kolo gets interrupted. Everything rides on Peekaboo. He needs to develop the pressure for his team and set up WizK effectively. WizK's main focus is to just rotate cooldowns with Absterge, survive as long as possible, get some good crowd control onto Valido, and stall it out to give Peekaboo as much time as possible to start building a lead. But it just seems so difficult for the move to even find that lead. Kolo gets blinded. If he sits through this blind, that's going to get them a huge, there's no way that he can. He trinkets as soon as the kidney shot is used. He did not want to expose himself to that swap potentially, so that's a good response. But now Kolo gets hexed. I do like this adaptation on Absterge's part, switching the hexes to Kolo. That could be the one factor that the move can take advantage of to find victory in game number 2.
Yeah, and Zac, once again, not really too many defensive cooldowns to work with. Peekaboo looking to line up some pressure on a Kolo. WizK under fire by Zac and Valido. He's been getting trained down this entire game, but at the very least, the move is forced to Zac to play a lot more defensive in this matchup, making sure he's consistently guessing on his toes, having to run away. But this particular point in time, right now, Never Lucky, they have so much momentum pushing forward. WizK is getting lower. No Dispersion, no Void Shift. Absterge might have to trade up the Spirit Link totem, but there's no one there to really benefit from that split health totem. And in the meantime, Kolo actually getting pressure down quite heavily by Peekaboo. Peekaboo realizing he's not going to be able to take him down and looks to get some pressure rolling onto Zac and Valido.
WizK getting pressured, not much defense left. Earthen Wall, Spirit Link, the last line. Absterge needs to be there, but Kolo sat down for a drink, regenerated a huge lead right at critical mass and dampening, and this is spelling trouble for the move. It's likely that Never Lucky put them on match point, and none of these have been really that even close for the move to find victory. They need a miracle. Can they pull it off? They've been in this position so many times in the past and managed to do it despite all odds being stacked against them. Everybody basically in chat, at least 93%, they think the move are going to take it. They have faith that the move will come through for them, but Kolo is looking like a pretty difficult boss to beat.
Well, I mean, the move is the dream team, but Never Lucky so far in this tournament, 4-1 against the move. And it's looking like it's going to be 5-1. Although Kolo is rotting down low, there's still decent pressure here for Peekaboo. Anti-Magic Zone trades out just to keep him alive. WizK having to retreat, though. Another double stun. Valido grips in Absterge on top of WizK. Double leg sweep. WizK getting lower. Spirit Lung Totem trades out. And actually, Void Shift is rotated back up for WizK, so they still have that major defensive cooldown to try to carry them forward until Dispersion comes back available.
All right, Absterge with basically nothing left. It's do or die here for the move in game number 2. They can't afford to go down 2 points. They'll have to battle it back at 2 disadvantaged maps in a row. WizK able to stabilize through the Fists of Fury, trying to create pressure on Zac. Kolo's life cocoon has been cracked, but Absterge gets crowd controlled. Void Shift is all that's left. Zac trades Touch of Karma before Smoke Bomb. An opening for the move. If they can survive this overwhelming pressure, there's an opening. They Void Shift the health over to Absterge. He stays in the fight. They need to start dispelling Zach down. Remove all heal over time effects. Shadow step over. Go for the smoke bomb. Big power play. Try and take him out, but they just can't make it. WizKay's under too much pressure, and Absurd has no mana left. He's in crowd control. WizKay holds on by a thread, but if Zach even reconnects for a second, he's likely to fall. Peekaboo peels him away with a kidney shot. They shackle the Abomination. No, they deny the shackle. Absurd has nothing left in the tank. Everything is starting to slip away. They drop the smoke bomb in desperation. Zach immediately retreats out of that, not wanting to throw the game away, realizing the huge lead that they have. Never Lucky are going to keep it calm, cool, and collected, recover around the pillar, then go for a big push. Can the move survive even that much longer to find another opportunity? It's getting dicey.
It is, but WizKay does have the dispersion. Here's a silence kidney shot attempt onto Zach. What is he going to do? He has Fortifying Brew. Colo trades out the Life Cocoon to keep him aggressive, keep him afloat. Absurd looking for a Hex. Anti-Magic Shell denies. Grip into double leg sweep. WizKay forced into potentially his final dispersion of this match, but with Vampiric Embrace, he's actually managed to top himself off, and Colo's falling behind.
All right, this could be it for the move. Can they put a point on the board against Never Lucky? They want to battle for that 4th place spot at the Spring Finals. If they lose here, they will not be going to the LAN event. The move, the runners-up at BlizzCon, the All-Star Rogue Shadow Priest Shaman battling against the meta, battling against all odds here today to stay alive in the tournament. But I will say, Never Lucky have significantly improved on this roster throughout this season. Despite coming together at the last second, they are looking solid. They've got decent pressure, and WizKay will get crushed. Peekaboo goes for the counter kill potentially onto Colo, but he pre-fortified elixirs the incoming stun, totally denying it, and advanced now to match point.
And WizKay's death looked inevitable throughout that game. Never Lucky going to already be on match point. And Super Cheese, before we even went into this one, he said this was the only map that we saw the move take down when they played previously. Now it looks like this one may be a 3-0 Zico and not a 3-1.
Yeah, it looks like they really want to keep their dreams alive here on the side of Never Lucky. They played really nicely actually in the upper bracket against the boys, barely losing out there. So I'm glad to see that that didn't really stop them or slow them down. Again, here in the lower bracket against the move, they had basically the chokehold throughout the entire game. And one thing I just want to commend them for is Colo's mana management. Throughout the earlier stages of the Cups, we were very heavy on the critique for Colo's mana management. He was basically before dampening almost every game. Now, playing that Way of the Crane, he's very conservative with when he's using it. Very good positioning for the most part, and he's looking really good on that Monk. And Zach as well, his defense has been a lot better on that Windwalker. He was tested more in this game, which was the only thing I could really say about the move potentially improving on in the first game, and even that wasn't enough. So Never Lucky just looks like a brick wall at the moment.
Yeah, I think when you look at Never Lucky, it's like you got Valito, and it's like, Valito, we just need you to do Valito things. And that's kind of always, he's been that consistent, he's been the rock of the team, and he's never disappointed. And then you look at Colo and Zach, and these guys have tried just about everything. They have played just about every single specialization that you could. They've switched between being healers, DPS on both sides, and now they have the composition that is their main composition, and we've just seen them get better and better. The question is, the move. Are they going to be able to strike back? Are we going to see a 3-0 coming out from Never Lucky? You can check out those new in-game toys right now in the shop, and not only are they going to be fun to use, but it also is going to support the AWC and the MDI, chunking up that prize pool just a little bit so you can help support the players if you do wish to. And right now we're going to be looking at some of those players that are going to be playing for those prize pools throughout the year. We're trying to figure out which teams are going to be making it to the LAN. We were actually sitting there doing all the potential permutations to see what that 4th team is going to be from North America. Zico, the main thing to look at with Never Lucky and the Mew Mew Kitty Cats is Never Lucky is they enter this tournament at 220 points. Mew Mew Kitty Cats entered this tournament at 200 points. So that's a placing. That's one placing ahead on the side of Never Lucky when you get into these high placings on broadcast. That's how it does work. That's how the point disparity works. So Never Lucky basically started one round ahead. So if we see them in a position like 3rd, 4th, for example, there's potential for a tiebreaker. And that's why what happens here is so important. Never Lucky is trying to catch up to maintain the lead that they had when they entered this.
Yeah, so Mew Mew Kitty Cats, they are guaranteed top 3 at this point. And Never Lucky, they're going to have to win here, obviously. And then they're also going to have to win against
Super Frogs.
Super Frogs. And then after that, it all comes down to who places first, second, third, and fourth. So
What the?
Okay.
I mean, the other stuff didn't work. WizK, man. WizK has just been the one player on this team to break out everything. But now they're throwing everything but the kitchen sink at Never Lucky. We were talking about Paladins this morning. And we were talking...
I was going to make a Rep Paladin. I was with Vanguard's backstage, and I was like, wow, Zandalari Paladin looks kind of cool. I think I'm going to go
Zandalari
Paladin.
Zandalari Paladin's definitely cool. You can do some stuff with regenerating. It's strong, especially in like 2s. Here, what do we think of the Cupid Cleave? I mean, we haven't seen one in a long time. Zico, what do you think of breaking out Cupid Cleave?
I'm not sold on the Cupid Cleave. Well, BM Hunters actually got buffed in the latest patch, but I don't think that BM Hunters are quite in a spot where they are super, super great in this meta. I think that this is some desperation from the move.
Desperate times call for desperate measures. Am I right? I mean, right now they're down.
Am I right?
1 to 5 playing the Shadow Priest Rogue Shaman. I just feel like playing that again is basically suicide in this matchup.
I promise you right now, this doesn't just apply to the AWC. If anybody at any point in your life ever goes, desperate times call for desperate measures, am I right? You're in a pretty bad situation. This is not a place that you want to be. This is not a neighborhood that you want to be hanging out. And the move is in a tough spot. Their back's definitely against the wall. Everything about this composition says just that. Desperate. You got Absterge on the Druid, you're going to have WizK on a Paladin, and you're going to have Jellybeans on a BM Hunter. None of these things are something that we wanted to see today for the move, and Never Lucky's going to be on their main composition that they've already beaten the move with, Supatis. Also, when they brought out the Hunter, what was the
not that.
Yeah, what was the composition?
Rogue Shaman Hunter. In the past, Rep Paladin was the king of cleave. Like, you would want to be bringing in a Cupid in this particular matchup in the past. I don't know if it's the case anymore, and I guess we'll find out because we haven't really gotten a chance to see it. But there's a reason we haven't got a chance to see it, and that's because I don't think the move have it properly prepared. So, while it might be a tasty dish, if it's not properly prepared or cooked all the way through, it might just make you sick.
I'm actually like looking at all the Rep Paladins in chat right now because that's usually where they hang out in this current meta. You know, I did not expect to see this. We'll have to see what WizK can do. I think that's one of the things that is so exciting about seeing it, if we can call it that. I guess the consolation prize. WizK on the Ret. What do we expect? I mean, he's tried to prepare so many different things throughout this season. That's kind of been his job on the move. And every time we've seen him multi-class, he's impressed.
I mean, I feel like this composition, maybe we're not completely sold on it, but it does have a few things going for it. Like we kind of talked about, the Beast Mastery Hunter, they did receive some buffs in their favor. So maybe Jellybean's looking to capitalize on that. Potentially catch Never Lucky off guard. WizK on the Retribution Paladin. Retribution Paladins, if they do have uptime, especially with their Avenging Wrath, their big wings, they're going to be able to put out a lot of cleave damage onto both Zac and Valido. And then you have that X factor of WizK being able to use the Blessing of Protection to remove the Touch of Karma of Zac. So there are a few openings here. I don't think that they're going to be able to run down Absterge on that Restoration Druid, especially with the Blessing of Sanctuary that WizK is going to have available for Absterge to help him get out of stuns. This is not completely hopeless for the move.
There is going to be a crazy damage window as Ven. The second the camera's off, he's shaking his head. But when we look, there's going to be a crazy damage window that can come in here when they line up all of their big cooldowns. Wings going to be crucial for WizK to get damage rolling as he sets his sights on Zac.
Zac, the target of choice here as he retreats away. Potentially an all-in from the move if they can keep ramping up this Crusade. Never Lucky realizing that's the biggest threat from the Retribution Paladin. They just need to avoid WizK at all costs until this Crusade has ended. It's going to be ending here shortly. Zac still avoiding WizK, snared up by Valido. Good defensive posturing from Never Lucky, not throwing away anything to this initial burst window. Really no major defensive force just yet. Freezing Trap gets stalled by leg sweep. Zach still taking a ton of damage. He tried to eat the Freezing Trap, wasn't able to. Retreats around the corner, but that Gliders Maledict is absorbing a lot of his support. Touch of Karma. Are they going to go for the Blessing of Protection? Doesn't look like they want to overcommit that lineup just yet. But now with the safety of that Touch of Karma, Jellybeans is on the defense.
Yeah, definitely. Jellybeans having to play a little bit defensive here in this situation. That's one of the things about the Hunter is you don't have that same kind of self-healing a lot of these other classes have, and that's why they're so vulnerable. Abster's definitely going to have to do work. Jellybeans just falling further and further behind. Blessing and Protection gets traded out. WizK throwing in some heals. That is not the situation you want to be in as the move. Colo got trapped up, but unfortunately the move was just forced so defensive they really couldn't get anything rolling.
Not able to. Also, another advantage of the Retribution Paladin is that Blessing of Wisdom from the Retribution Paladin. So you may be able to actually out-mana the Mistweaver Monk if they can stay alive. Maybe there's opportunity. Jellybeans takes a huge hit from Valido, recovers immediately. Absurge's Gliders Medallion was used in that exchange, but they've got crowd control. Zach on the run once again. I can't help but feel that this map is backfiring. Zach on this huge battlefield is able to just Transcendence away and avoid all the damage during the freezing traps. Perhaps the move should have gone for something like Ruins of Lordaeron. Maybe they were hesitant. I mean, they're on match points. Their qualifications are on the line. If they lose this, they wanted to go for a safer pick, but it actually is benefiting Never Lucky more than them.
Yeah, what are they going to be able to do? This is so difficult for WizK to actually have uptime on a target, especially without the Blessing of Freedom. He's just caught in chains of ice. It is a slow waddle for WizK.
Yeah, I know. Hey, guys, it's been a little while since we've seen a Rep Paladin, but they really struggle to move. They are very slow. It's a little bit of a saying in the community, and you're going to see that right now. WizK trying to get up onto targets, and he's not going to have very high uptime.
All right, WizK connecting to Zach. Colo trades Life Cocoon for this initial assault with Crusade, but then they could switch targets, perhaps. Absterge recovers, but expends a huge amount of mana to heal through this attack. Crusade is maxed out, but WizK can't connect. Blessing of Freedom. WizK finally able to move. Zach immediately Flying Serpent kicks away from that. WizK still in hot pursuit. They don't have a Blessing of Protection, though. Maybe pre-aspects of the Turtles and the Karma? Nope, no real overextension. Did they just break it?
They broke it. Zach is vulnerable right now. He has his Transcendence, might have to run away, but Colo in a good position, not in crowd control, is able to top him off. But now with no Touch of Karma, Zach's going to have to play a little bit scared in this matchup. He can, of course, use that Transcendence to get away when he really needs to, but in terms of defensive, the move's not looking bad. Mana's evened out. There's definitely hope here for the move to come back in the series.
It's looking a lot better than their Shadow Priest Rogue, for sure, at least here against Never Lucky. Potentially, the Retribution Paladin could be the X factor for the move to stay alive in the lower bracket. They still haven't won it just yet, but there is definitely a lot more opportunity here in game number 3 for sure. Zach retreats, WizK hunting him down. How much longer can Zach get escaping to safety? He gets the Ring of Peace. WizK cannot connect. Zach recovers, Colo gets out of crowd control. Now Zach has Touch of Death. He could make a big push. It's likely to be going after WizK as he has no Gliders Medallion. Fist of Fury. No Touch of Death committed just yet. Surprising to see it immediately pulled. Trying to develop some pressure. Maybe they're trying to bait an Iron Bark before going for a big push. Thorns activated by Absterge. That is starting to redirect some damage back at Valido and Zach, likely to cost Colo mana. Good cross crowd control there from the move. I like this mid-game adaptation. Stunning up Colo and Zach at the same time is very important for the move to pin Zach down long enough to ultimately net a kill on him. If they can do that a couple more times moving into the future, they could take it. Mana's starting to establish itself in favor of the move.
Yeah, WizK, honestly, there hasn't been that much pressure for Never Lucky in this matchup. We talked a little bit about how the move is struggling to take down Zach, but Never Lucky really hasn't been able to get anything done against the move so far in this matchup. WizK caught into a leg sweep, finally a little bit of burst damage, but Zach definitely has to think twice before trading blows with the Retribution Paladin. Turbo Fist will deny some damage from WizK. Valido's still all over him, but Absterge in a good position to get those heals off. There's not too much crowd control coming in from the team of Never Lucky right now, and the move is completely stable, whereas Zach, he's looking a little scared.
Hello and welcome everyone from StarCraft. We're on match point between Never Lucky and the move. Both teams attempting to qualify for the spring finals LAN. Never Lucky not looking too good in dire straits here, stunned up for a few seconds. If WizK can connect. Not able to make his way over to finally get a kill here against Never Lucky. Potentially this Retribution Paladin could be the X factor for the move in this series if they can somehow swing it back, reverse sweep 3 in a row to keep their tournament dreams alive, to keep their qualification potential still in this tournament. Zach gets bursted, looks to reverse the pressure, but then WizK activates that Shield of Vengeance. That could be dishing out devastation. Colo exchanges Life Cocoon, absorbing that huge hit and staying alive. Mana still too close to call, and it's anyone's match.
Definitely big pressure from the move, though. Zach did manage to hold on to that Touch of Karma. Now a full trap. Zach could be into trouble. He Transcendence away. Back to Colo, looking to get out of line of sight. Tosses some Vivifies on himself. Jellybeans has just been left alone. The most pressure we saw from Never Lucky in this matchup is when they went over to Jellybeans, started to get some pressure rolling, and I think Zach's starting to realize this. The WizK doesn't seem to be the best target of choice. Absters has been able to easily keep him alive, especially with the amount of off-healing Retribution Paladin has. And my question to you, Sid, is who do you think really has the edge as we move deeper into dampening?
I'm starting to think it's the move. This actually could work for them. They actually have a chance against Never Lucky, despite being down overall. Jellybean's looking to... His pet went down.
Oh, no!
He needs to revive it. He's getting denied on the revive pet. A Beastmaster Hunter with no beast is no master. Jellybeans is getting denied over and over on this revive pet, unable to finish the cast, and it's losing his team all momentum. Is he just going to go down? Aspect of the Turtle finally exchanged. That pet will be revived, but at the cost of his most precious defensive cooldown.
Yep, definitely. Jellybean's not looking too good in that situation. Unfortunately for him, Absurge has to make sure he's healing up that pet. If Jellybeans gets caught in another situation like that, Zach and Valito, they just have so many little micro CCs and interrupts that they can deny that regeneration of that pet, and Jellybeans, without his Aspect of the Turtle, won't be able to ever get one back again. Zach in a little bit of trouble right now. Turbo Fist going to be used by him with that Fist of Fury to deny WizK a little bit of damage. Paralysis as well. Zach, what is he going to do? No portal available. Once again, running, hiding behind the pillar. Colo in a good position to top him off. Never Lucky completely stabilized, but I kind of wonder, maybe Valito's going to be an exceptionally vulnerable target in this particular matchup, especially as dampening gets higher and higher.
I think certainly that is going to be the case as we see the move add up their strategy to go after Valito, now moving deeper into dampening. Mana still too close to call. Colo has enough in the bank for a way of the Crane, and Jellybeans has no Aspect of the Turtle. They could go all 3 members towards Jellybeans and crush this game outright here momentarily. Colo secures crowd control, but he's reluctant to go all in. Blessing of Protection keeps Jellybeans safe for now. They need to set up crowd control soon. Stun, where's the freezing trap? Good cross crowd control. Jellybeans lands it from downtown. Huge damage. Zach with not much defense. Colo denies the kill in that attempt with the Life Cocoon, but with no Gladius Medallion is now susceptible. Crusade available in 60 seconds. The move need to stay alive for 60 seconds. If they can do so, they may be likely to take this.
Yeah, definitely. Jellybeans putting out huge pressure onto Zach. And it's difficult for the Windwalker Monk because he can't get away from that pet, so Jellybeans is always going to be having a little bit of damage rolling. You can see that Raptor just chasing down Zach behind the pillar in this matchup. Zach does manage to top himself off, but it's going to become more and more difficult. Healing getting lower and lower for both of these teams. If we look at mana, Absurge has a little bit of a lead, but nothing too massive. I wouldn't give anyone a massive favor in that regard so far in this matchup. This is WizK rotting down low as well as Jellybeans. Hammer of Justice. Is he going to land the trap? No, Zach with a beautiful eat of that trap. Colo's not going to be put in crowd control, and now Never Lucky can get aggressive.
Look at Absurge's mana. It's almost totally tapped. We're at 26% dampening. Momentum is swinging now in favor of Never Lucky, despite the lead that the move are establishing. WizK just can't stay on target long enough. Potentially Valito could be the target of choice. Icebound Fortitude randomly exchanged there for Valito. There was no real justification. Crusade is now available. That could be a massive blunder that costs Never Lucky the match. I guess they're trading it for Colo to get full mana, but they need to be able to recover. Life Cocoon for now might not be enough. Bestial Wrath and Crusade stacked together is going to be a huge wave of damage. Crowd control initiated. They need to deny the freezing trap. Can Jellybean snipe it despite this dog pile from Never Lucky? 3 members on top of each other. It's going to be difficult for him to snipe that freezing trap. Can Jellybeans do it? Maybe he doesn't even need it. Colo retreats away. He can't deal with the pressure. Jellybeans tries to snipe the trap, goes for the snare one. He's denying Colo from casting, at least by keeping him on the move. Valito's getting owned by WizK. Jellybeans disengages over. If this freezing trap lands, it's going to be it. Jellybeans gets stalled on it for a few seconds. Colo can't heal and avoid the trap forever. Hammer of Justice, but Zach eats it. The freezing trap whiffs. They need just damage to push him over, but I'm not sure they've got enough of it, Ben.
I don't think so. WizK looking to be the last Crusader. Can they take Valido down? Anti-Magic Shell will deny a little bit of that damage. WizK traded out his Divine Shield. WizK's really vulnerable. Astros, how's he going to keep him alive? He has the Innervate rolling to empower his heals, but WizK's just falling further and further behind. Never Lucky stabilized. The move could be eliminated just right here, right now. Spring Final's going to be gone from the move, but the Never Lucky, they're looking better and better.
They are, and I got to say, though, to the move, what a way to go out. Obviously, a lot of doubt on our side around this composition, but then we see them play it, and you just remember that Jelly Beans is one of the best to ever touch this game. It's insane watching him play. Obviously, some changes have come in on the Hunter, but you can put Jelly Beans on a Hunter in any patch, and he's going to be able to make things that should be impossible look possible. WizK has been a phenomenal multiclasser. There is no doubt in my mind the move will be able to make the next land, but this time they're going to fall short.
When they play this in the blind, this looks kind of good.
That was the thing. There were a lot of haters in the chat, but us on the desk, we had full faith. The second we saw this composition get locked in, we knew just how strong it could be.
Absolutely. There was no doubt in my mind that this was going to be such a nail-biter, so close that Valido was going to go down. I had full confidence here in Jelly Beans. Unfortunately, though, WizK pulled the trigger on his Divine Shield, tried to go for that all-in on Valido earlier when Colo got that massive drink and didn't net them the kill, and unfortunately for them, didn't win them the game. I liked the confidence in going for it. I liked how they played it, but ultimately, I think the map really did backfire a little bit for them. I mean, there's so much room for a Windwalker to move around on a map like that, but now we get to talk a little bit about standings.
Yeah, I'm very excited for everything that's going to be going on here, because when we look at the lower semis, that's going to be our last matchup of the day. Now, Never Lucky, they move through, they take down the move again. They beat them both times in this tournament. They were knocked down by the boys, and that series was as close as it could get. Now they need to go up against the Super Frogs, facing elimination. So they're playing the top two teams in North America, a very tough feat for them. Do you think that they'll match up as well into the Super Frogs as they did in that mirror that they actually did have against the boys Super Ts?
I think the Destruction Frost Mage might be too much to handle, and I think there might be a scenario where we have a tiebreaker if that is the case. But Mew Mew Kitty Cats, of course, still have that upper bracket final to battle it through. Things are coming down to the wire.